My parents begged me, don't go to Hawaii. The mortgage is behind. So, I transferred $8,700. A week later, I found out from my uncle that my sister had secretly tagged everyone at a beach resort without me, writing, "Vacation without loser." Quietly did what they really didn't want me to do. I actually believed them when my mom called, nearly hysterical, saying the mortgage was 2 months late and the bank was starting paperwork. I didn't even think to question it. She said they were drowning, that Dad's hours had been slashed, and that Lily wasn't handling it well. She said she cried every night, that they were afraid they'd lose the pressin house. It all sounded desperate and real, and I believed it. I was exhausted. I had just gotten home from a talkin' 12-hour shift and hadn't even kicked off my shoes. I sat there, listening, while staring at the takeout I couldn't afford. My mom said they needed exactly $8,700 to stop the foreclosure and keep the lights on. I asked her twice if this was really what it was for. She swore on everything, said they wouldn't ask if it wasn't life or death. Dad even got on the phone for 5 seconds just to say, "Thank you, honey. You're saving us." I wired the money the next morning. That was all I had saved, my Hawaii fund. I'd spent 2 years putting it together little by little. That trip was my light at the end of the tunnel. A week in Oahu alone, no responsibilities, no one needing anything from me. The plan was to leave in October. I had even bought a new suitcase, but they needed it more, right? So I told myself it was okay, that family came first, that there'd be other trips. I went back to my routine: work, sleep, repeat. No mention from them about the money after the transfer, not even a thank you. I figured they were overwhelmed. 6 days later, I was sorting laundry in the living room when I got a message from my Uncle Steve, the only relative I even halfway trust. It just said, "I figured you hadn't seen this. You should." It was a screenshot from Facebook. Lily's account, a private album that I was definitely not tagged in. It was photo after photo of them, my parents, Lily, her boyfriend, at a beachfront resort. Not just some cheap weekend trip either. We're talking about one of those high-end places with infinity pools and private cabanas. They were wearing leis, holding tropical drinks, showing off spa treatments and seafood dinners. In one of the photos, Lily had posted a group shot with the caption, "Vacation without loser." Everyone in the family was tagged: aunts, cousins, people I hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone but me. I read it 5 times, thinking maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But it was. And they weren't even trying to hide it. $8,700 didn't go to a mortgage. It went straight to a downed beachside suite and cocktails by the pool. I just sat there on the floor, staring at the screen like an idiot. I wasn't even angry yet, just stunned, like my brain couldn't wrap itself around it. I remembered the phone call, the fake panic in their voices, the way they guilt me like I was their last hope. And now this. That word burned into me. Boozer. It wasn't just a joke. It was targeted, deliberate. They thought it was funny. They thought I'd never find out. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't even call them. I just sat in silence while something shifted inside me. They thought they got away with it. Thought I'd stay quiet like I always do. That I'd write it off as just family being family. But I'm done playing the nice one. I'm done letting them walk all over me. They took my vacation. So I'm going to take something from them. After I saw the pictures, I didn't call, didn't text, didn't say a word. Let it sink in. Let myself accept the truth that I didn't want to believe. Not just about the money or the trip, but about who they really were. They lied to my face. They looked me in the eye, begged, said they were desperate. The house was slipping away, and the whole time, they were just planning a tropical vacation. And not only did they lie, they laughed about it. Called me a loser. That wasn't just a caption. That was them telling me exactly what they thought of me. I had to sit with that, really feel it. And then I made a decision. They were going to pay for this. Not just emotionally, literally. The car was the obvious choice. Blue Honda Accord, barely 2 years old. Dad's pride and joy. He babied that thing like it was made of gold. Wiped it and down every weekend. Bragged about how he got it below market value. The funny part, I had the spare key. They gave it to me last year when I had to pick them up from the airport at 3 a.m. and never asked for it back. I checked. It was parked in the driveway while they were off snorkeling and posting mojitos on Facebook. So I went and got it, took the bus across town, walked the last 5 blocks. Like I was out for a casual evening stroll. And slid into the driver's seat like I had every right to, because I did. I didn't just drive it home. I filed for a new title. Best part, my Uncle Steve helped. He's the only one in the family who sees them clearly. He came with me to the DMV, said if they want to report it stolen, they'll have to explain under oath where they really were when I supposedly stole it. He even laughed and said, "Let me know when you're ready to take the house." Next. 3 days later, they landed back home. I knew it the second my phone started blowing up. First, it was, "Mom, where is the car?" Then, "Lily, tell me you didn't actually take Dad's car. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Then, "Dad, Amy, call me right now." I let them stew for hours. I wanted the panic to settle in, let them feel powerless for once. Finally picked up. It was like a dam broke. My mom started yelling so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. She was shrieking about theft, betrayal. How could I do this to them? Like I hadn't just sacrificed my entire vacation savings to save their home. Then, Dad jumped in. He was calmer, but worse in that passive-aggressive, guilt-tripping way, asking me how I could be so petty, telling me I misunderstood everything. That's when I cut in. I asked how the resort was, if the spa was worth stealing $8,700, if the champagne tasted extra sweet with a side of betrayal. They went quiet. Then I told them exactly what they didn't want to hear. I saw everything. I know you lied. And you're lucky all I took was the car. And I hung up. A few hours later, Lily posted one of those passive-aggressive Instagram stories with a black screen and white text. Something about fake people in the family and jealous losers who can't stand to see others happy. I screenshotted it and smiled. I thought they had the upper hand. Still thought they could manipulate, twist it all around, get sympathy from the rest of the family. What they didn't know is that I wasn't planning to stop with the car. They had secrets. I knew them. I just never used them before because I still had hope that they'd change. But now I was going to make sure they begged me to stop. Wouldn't. After I hung up, they tried everything. Lily sent voice notes, pretending to be calm, acting like she didn't understand why I was overreacting. My dad texted me a paragraph that started with, "We love you," but, and ended with some nonsense about how family is complicated. My mom doubled down with a phone call that I ignored, then followed it with, "You're hurting us more than you know, right?" Let them sit in it for 2 days. No response. No explanation. I didn't answer anything. I knew they were panicking because the car was real to them. Tangible. Suddenly, this wasn't just some money I gave them that they pretended didn't exist. This was an actual loss they could feel. And that was just the beginning. I dug through my old messages, my email, even some of my mom's Facebook posts from years back. I started making a list, every dirty little thing they'd done. Not just to me, to other people in the family too. Things I never brought up because I was the peacekeeper. The one who understood. Like the time they borrowed money from my cousin Mia and never paid her back. Lied and said it was for Lily's textbooks. Turned out it went to cover a gambling debt my dad had. Or how they guilt Aunt Sandra into signing over part of the inheritance from Grandpa, saying it was for emergency home repairs. Then used it to buy a new backyard patio and throw Lily's boyfriend a birthday party. There were dozens of things like that. I never connected all the dots before. But now I had every receipt, every timestamp, every screenshot, and I wasn't going to waste them. I wrote a draft, a very calm, detailed post. Nothing dramatic, just facts, names, dates, numbers. I didn't even have to exaggerate anything. The truth was damning enough, but I didn't post it yet. I sent it privately, first to my mom, then to Lily. Added a message with it. You stole my money. You lied. You laughed at me. You can apologize and make this right, or this goes out to Facebook, to Reddit. Everyone. You choose. 5 minutes. That's how long it took. Mom called me, sobbing. Real sobs this time. The the scared kind. He asked what I wanted. I told her I wanted them to admit it. All of it. And not just to me publicly. I wanted them to go on Facebook, where they made that little loser joke and tell the truth. He begged me not to. Said it would humiliate them. Said people wouldn't understand. I said, I don't care. Lily, of course, sent some garbage response about how it was. Just a joke and that I was acting psychotic. She had the nerve to say I should have just talked to them like a normal person. I ignored her. Then I went a step further. I messaged my golden boy brother, Brian, the favorite, the one who never helps, never gives, but gets worshipped just for showing up. I sent him the screenshots, everything, told him I was done protecting them, told him if he didn't want to be part of the fallout, he better stay quiet. Didn't even reply. Good. Cornered now, and they knew it. I could feel the shift. No more fake guilt, trips. No more gaslighting. Now it was just fear. The way they had made me feel. For years, I was finally feeding it back to them. And I wasn't even close to done. I didn't expect them to apologize. Not really. But I thought at the very least they'd go quiet. Maybe try to settle things privately. Maybe let the embarrassment sink in and come to me, like adults. Instead, they went in the exact opposite direction. The explosion happened in the extended family group chat, a thread I usually keep muted. Too many forwarded memes, prayer chains, birthday gifts. But that day, I'm glad I checked. Out of nowhere, my mom dropped a message the size of a novel. She wrote that while they were away on a modest little break, I had snuck onto their find property and stolen their only vehicle. She said I had become unstable, that I was paranoid and refusing to return it, and that they were in contact with legal counsel. She finished it off with a line that made my stomach turn. We love Amy deeply, but this kind of behavior is a bare cry for help. Please be patient with her. A cry for help. I laughed out loud, then actually stood up in the middle of my living room because I couldn't sit still. They weren't just lying. They were setting the stage. They were trying to make me look crazy, like I was, mentally unraveling, unstable, so they could justify what they did and turn the rest of the family against me. I didn't even have time to reply before Uncle Steve beat me to it. Kathy, I want to lie like that in a group chat? I've seen the receipts, including Lily's loser post. Then he dropped 3 screenshots into the chat. The first was the beach photo with all of them tagged, everyone but me. The second was the caption, vacation without loser. The third was my bank transaction. The $8,700 transfer. My name, their account, clear as day. Silence. For 5 long minutes, nobody said anything. Replied, wait, is that where my $3,000 went last year? You told me it was for Lily's college tuition. Next came Aunt Sandra. They did the same to me with Grandpa's inheritance. Told me it was for emergency home repairs. A new grill and threw Lily's boyfriend to birthday party. Then, Jenna, my cousin, who never says anything in family chats, wrote, they told me they paid off their cost mortgage last year. I asked for a loan in May and they said they couldn't help. said they were broke. It unraveled like that. One message after another. People piecing things together. Stories they'd nowing out, never questioned until now. Things that didn't add up before suddenly made perfect sense. Lily left the group chat, just disappeared without a word. Sent a follow-up message 5 minutes later. We didn't mean to upset anyone. There are a lot of misunderstandings happening. We'll resolve this with Amy, privately. But it was too late. The damn head burst. My inbox lit up with messages from cousins, aunts, even a couple of second cousins I barely knew. One of them, Daniel, said he'd always had a weird feeling about how they treated me. Another said she remembered them calling me selfish behind my back because I wouldn't pay for Lily's trip to Florida in 2021. That was the trip they said Lily needed for mental health. They forgot to mention she brought her boyfriend and posted beach pics all over Instagram. And then the biggest surprise came from Brian. Golden boy Brian, the one they worshiped, the one they protected like a fab. You messaged me directly. They told me you donated the Tannable money. Hawaii. They said you didn't want to travel anymore. I had no idea. Holyish. *T. He actually sounded stunned, and I believed him, because that's when I realized they hadn't just used me. They'd lied to everyone over and over, so much so consistently that even Brian, their golden child, was just another puppet. I asked him one question. Do you believe me now? He responded a minute later. Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I sat there staring at the screen, not sure how to feel. For once, Brian wasn't defending them. He wasn't playing neutral or brushing it under the rug. He was on my side. That's when I knew I had them. They tried to discredit me, tried to make me look unstable, tried to flip the narrative before I could speak. But it was too late. Now everyone had seen it, and I still hadn't posted anything public yet. The best was still to come. I waited a week. I watched the dust settle. Let them twist and turn, while the family chat went dead quiet, and their allies started dropping off like flies. Not a single apology, not even an attempt. Just silence. The kind you can feel. The kind that's more insulting than if they just told me to go to hell. They were hoping I'd move on. Get tired. That I'd let it go like I always used to. But they didn't understand. This time was different. This time, I wasn't trying to keep the peace. I wanted war, so I gave them one last chance. I sent one final message to our family group chat, not to ask for anything, not to explain, just to make it clear. You had a week to come clean. You chose silence. I won't. No one replied. Not even Brian. So, I did it. Posted the full story. Not vague, not anonymous, not a passive-aggressive quote with a sad background. I posted everything in detail with dates, screenshots, and side-by-side photos of their beach vacation and my bank transfer. I told the whole story from the phone call where they begged me for help to the photos I wasn't supposed to, see to the caption that broke me, vacation without loser. I explained how I gave up my Hawaii trip to help save their house, how they used the money for a beachfront resort, and then mocked me behind my back like I was a joke. And I didn't stop there. I added the other pieces, how they'd lied to me about tuition, to Sandra about repairs, to Jenna about their finances. I showed the pattern. I named the names, not in a cruel way. Just facts. Calm, cold, factual. Because the truth doesn't need embellishment when it's this ugly. Then I hit post. At first, nothing. Then, within 15 minutes, the shares started. Then the comments, then the messages. My inbox lit up like a Christmas tree. People I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me. Co-workers, old classmates, extended relatives. A few said they were sorry for believing things my family had said about me. A couple told me they'd gone through the trek. Same thing with their own parents or siblings. But most people were just angry. Angry for me. And then comments on the post started getting brutal. Someone reposted Lily's loser caption with the caption, "Imagine stealing from your own sister and being proud of it." Another person, a friend of my cousin, commented, "This family sounds like a discount cult. Get out and never look back." I didn't respond to any of it. The reach kept growing. Shares, reposts, tagging a Reddit thread, asking if they could use the story there. By evening, the message was clear. No one was on their side anymore. Lily disappeared from every platform, not just deactivated, gone, deleted. My mom made her account private. My dad, who used to post jokes and dad memes like clockwork, didn't log in for 3 days straight. Brian called. I ignored it twice. Picked up the third time. He didn't even say, "Hello." He just said, "You really went. Scorched earth, huh?" I didn't say anything. He sighed and told me they were falling apart, that mom hadn't eaten in 2 days, that dad wanted to sue me, but didn't know for what, that grandma called him crying, demanding to know what was true. Then he said something that actually surprised me. "They're not going to say sorry, Amy. They still don't think they did anything wrong. They think you're just being dramatic." I let that sit for a second. Then I asked, "And what do you think?" Another pause. "I think they've been doing this for years, and you finally blew it open." "I don't blame you." I asked him if he ever knew about the Hawaii money. He said no. They told him I changed my mind and wanted to donate the money to the family because I was over the whole travel thing. They said I was growing up. I laughed when he said that. Then he did too. For a second, it almost felt normal between us. But it wasn't. I told him I sold the car. React just asked how much I got. I told him 10,000 flat. After the title work and fees, I came out ahead by $1,500. He said, "Good, you deserved it." Then he hung up. Later that night, my mom messaged me a long, rambling apology. Except it wasn't an apology. It was her, trying to spin it all again. How I humiliated them. How I misunderstood the intention. How it wasn't supposed to be like this. But she still didn't say sorry. So I left her on read. screenshots of everything, just in case. And then I blocked them, one by one. The only one I didn't block was Brian. Blocking them felt too easy, almost too quiet for everything they put me through. But I didn't do it to punish them. Not exactly. I did it because I didn't need to hear one more lie. No more twisting the truth. No more fake guilt trips disguised as concern. More you misunderstood. I didn't want their voices in my head anymore. Course never lasts. 3 days later, Brian showed up. He texted me once in the area, got time. And 10 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't surprised. Almost respected the move, sending the one person I hadn't cut off, the golden sun, the neutral party. I let him in. He had that look like he hadn't slept in days. Coffee in his hand, but it didn't seem like it helped. He started slow, asked if I was okay, told me the family was pretty shaken up. That Lily hadn't left her room. That Dad almost got written up at work because someone printed the vacation without loser photo and taped it to his locker. That Mom hadn't shown her face at church in a vasis week. And then he got to the real reason. He was there. They wanted me to give the money from the car back. Brian tried to frame it like it wasn't about the car, said it was about closure, about repairing trust. Said the Facebook post humiliated them, that I'd gone too far, that they were afraid of what I'd do next. I asked him flat out if they finally admitted what they did. He looked me in the eye and said, "No, they still think it wasn't that bad." When it clicked, they weren't sorry, they were scared. Not sorry for what they did, only sorry it backfired. I told Brian I wasn't giving back a cent. That car was compensation. That post, that was restraint. I reminded him they lied to everyone, not just me. That they begged me for money they claimed was for the mortgage, mocked me publicly, and then tried to spin it like I was unstable. He didn't argue. He just sat there quietly, like he didn't know what side to be on anymore. So, I told him one last thing. I told him I had a notebook, not just a mental record, an actual physical notebook. Years of notes, screenshots, dates. Every time they took something from me or someone else in the family, every time they lied, manipulated, twisted stories, begged for emergencies that turned out to be parties or gifts or vacations, every guilt trip, every scam, every cover-up. I scanned the whole thing months ago, backed it up to the cloud. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, if they come after me again, legally, publicly, financially, I will release it. Facebook, Reddit, family emails, everywhere. I will light the whole thing on fire and let everyone watch. He didn't even flinch. He just nodded slowly and said, I believe you. Then he stood up, and before he walked out the door, he said something I'll never forget. They're scared of you now. Just so you know, I didn't say anything, because that was the point. I sold the car that weekend. 10,000 flat, clean, title. No haggling. I walked away with $1,500 more than I gave them. That money went straight into a new travel fund. Not just Hawaii, better, longer. I upgraded everything. Nicer Airbnb, direct flights, a volcano tour, the whole thing. And I booked it the same day I got the transfer. Leaving in October alone. No one knows. No family, posts, no announcements, just me. And, for the first time in years, the silence feels good. Not awkward, not painful, peaceful. Plain. They tried to humiliate me, tried to gaslight me, tried to make me feel crazy. Now they're the ones, whispering in group chats, hiding their profiles, dodging questions at church. I don't have to do anything else. They ruined themselves. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel sorry. They used me, mocked me, laughed at me behind my back. They'll remember my name every time someone asks what happened to the car, every time someone brings up that Facebook post, every time a new relative suddenly stops responding to their messages. I'm not the loser. Escape plan. And they just lost the best thing they ever had. The first update. It's been a few weeks since I sold the car and booked the trip. I leave in October, and every time I check the countdown app on my phone, I smile. I haven't heard from my parents. Not a word. Lily's still gone from social media. Dad's account looks like it was wiped, clean, and Mom and locked down. Just how I like it. But yesterday, I got a letter in the mail, a real one, handwritten, from my grandma. While she always stayed out of drama, said it wasn't her place. She's old, school like that. But inside the envelope was one page of careful cursive, and it started with, I want you to know I read everything. She didn't take sides, didn't scold me, didn't beg me to make peace. She just said she saw the post, saw the screenshots, and that she was sorry I had to go through it. Said she never realized how much I'd been carrying. Said she understood now. Then she wrote something that almost made me cry. You deserve that vacation, and you deserve peace, even if it means peace without us. That was it. No guilt. No manipulation. Just quiet support. I folded the letter and put it in my travel journal. He gets it. And honestly, that's